I don't believe in loopholes.
What? Loopholes are the best.
Welcome back to another edition of Pewology. This is our podcast where we let the people in the pews weigh in on a bunch of things like Bible, theology, spiritual life, spiritual worldview, and a whole bunch of just fun stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have all you guys. Can we go around the table real quick and can you introduce yourself, name, and how long you've been married? Go.
All right. Glenn, 13 years.
Nice.
Anthony, 7 years.
Okay.
Juan, almost 1 year.
Nice. You want to do a collective for you?
No, of course.
Add all three of them up.
Collective, all of them.
Wow.
19, 20, like 30 something.
He's got the most experience.
He's like, carry the back, carry the one.
I might be a loser, but I'm not a quitter.
There we go, baby.
George, you can
My
combine
man.
if you need. But
Jorge, this current time around 2.5 right now.
okay. And Grace?
Grayson, 25 years.
Married?
Just kidding, I'm not married.
He's like 25 years, period.
How are things with the things? So
Yeah, they're
yeah.
good.
Okay, good.
I've been dating for quite a while.
Okay.
2.5 years, I guess.
That's
Oh,
that's heavy.
that's strong.
That's strong. That's strong. In some ways, it's stronger. So
Yeah.
okay.
So I guess you could say
and I'm
things are
Mike,
pretty serious.
and I've been married 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so here's the deal. I'd like to have you guys weigh in on the most important verse in the Bible. Are you with?
In regards to marriage, right?
No, just in general.
Oh.
And the most important verse, in my opinion, in the Scripture. Are you with me? And okay, let's do this. Here we go. Wives, obey your husbands as you obey the Lord.
Strong.
Next question.
That is strong.
Oh, you're saying that this is the most important.
This is the most important one in the whole Bible. Do you agree? You don't agree? I see what you. Some of you are getting a little fishy.
I think it's totally funny that I'm.
What do you?
No. Go ahead.
You had a moment of
I'll add my commentary
Okay.
as necessary.
Okay. All right. So this is the most. What do you think? You familiar with this passage?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the guideline to marriage.
There it is.
Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. All that good stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Did you use this in your actual wedding ceremony? Did this come up?
A little bit, but it was more in our marriage counseling stuff, like
Oh, in the marriage
premarital
counseling.
counseling.
Premarital.
Yep.
How long was your premarital counseling?
It was like 8 sessions.
Wow. 8
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
Wow. Are they like hour long, 2 hour long? What are you talking about?
About an hour each.
About an hour each.
Yeah.
That's
That's why my marriage is
You don't
so
know after
fantastic
that.
right now. It's-
That's pretty good.
that's
I
pretty
snuck
good. You don't know
mine-
after that, you're.
I snuck
mean,
mine right before.
we were experts on marriage
Wednesday
before we
night.
got married because of that. So I'm
you're
curious.
yeah, you're.
We snuck hours between 6:30 and 7 before Wednesday night.
Yours is like, well, you two idiots are going to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hashtag truth.
8 sessions. Did you do any premarital? I'm asking. I don't know. Did you do any premarital?
Sex? Or
Counseling.
No, not sex, you weirdo.
No.
Why does everything revolve around sex with you guys?
I was just asking
Oh,
him.
man.
Okay.
No counseling.
The other one, yes.
Just straight in.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I guess.
How did that work out for you?
It was a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff?
A lot of stuff.
Do you wish you'd have had the 8 sessions now?
80? No.
Okay, now I'm not even going to ask you. You can weigh on here in a minute, but what do you think? Do you think this is like a legit? Like, is this a legit, still applicable passage to today?
I think it is, but maybe the wording has to be a little bit.
You got to
different.
soften it a little bit.
I think
You
instead of
soften the wording.
I think replace obey with respect.
No, what do you mean? You're just going to change? You can't just,
No, because
I mean, I know you came up a witness, but you can't just be changing the Bible.
No. Why you always trying to throw that witness stuff on me, bro? You always like throwing that around, don't you? You get a little joke with that.
Go ahead and edit the word of God.
Hey, all I know was in the Bible. It says, "Woman, respect your husbands," and for the
It says
men
submit.
to
Submit.
Well, here you go. Here, you know what I'm
All
going to do? Here, no, I'm going to fix it for you.
Isn't that kind of
No,
the same thing?
you're right. Here you go. Look, next, show this. This is, I'll give you 4 different translations. 4 different translations here. So, wives, submit yourselves to your husbands. Wives, be subject to your husbands. Wives, be submissive to your husbands. Or you should put the husband first. Those are like 4 of like, I don't know, the 80 English
Don't that
translations.
generally
I-
mean respect?
I'll take the last one.
Would you summarize all of that as respect your husband?
I think so.
I think it's pretty
Yeah,
easy.
I think it's fair.
I was
to
meant
I
to
don't,
define
I don't
that.
think there's anything
No,
wrong with it. I think the attitude of towards this type of command or word would the attitude towards it has changed in a way that it makes it seem like something it's probably not intended to be.
Do you think it's the wording too? You think the wording's a little strong?
No, I think the attitude,
The attitude. You think it's cultural?
yeah.
It's
in
time.
Definitely.
a post-feminist world now.
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
but okay. So if you went to your wife and said, "Hey, the Bible says you're supposed to respect me," that would go over easier than obey me.
Before or after
Well,
the laughter?
well, that's a good question. Why? But I think it's a twofold thing because it isn't just a one way. It has to be a 2-way, and the second way is for us to really love our wives, and that's the conversation where we start be like, hey, hold up, we just want to lean on the respect and obey, but when it's time to be affectionate or love our wives in a certain way, so they feel appreciated, they feel secure, they feel valued.
So you're already jumping in.
We fall back.
But you're like jumping in this whole thing where it's like, I hear this every time, which is fine, and I'm good with this. But I hear this every time, which is, hey, if we love them, it'll be easier for them to obey us.
I just think it's a 2-way thing. It doesn't have to be about if this is something that everybody has to do for themselves. Nobody could force somebody to love you. You know what I mean? They have to do it because they really love you. You could try to be manipulative, but if it ain't going to be genuine or original, what's the use of it? That's like my father. He doesn't go ahead and compel us or obligate us to go ahead and love him. We do it because we want to, right? So it goes the same thing in the marriage dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We gotta want to do it, and if we see that, naturally the response is gonna be something beautiful.
Yeah, but-
because it's organic.
We don't always want to do it though.
Well,
We can't
that's-
rely on
that's-
when we want to do it or feel like doing it.
That's the problem.
That's
that's the
it's a
problem.
choice we make
It's
every
an
day.
action.
Whether you feel like
Or,
it.
it's maybe a commitment.
Yes, if the commitment's been made, you honor the commitment, no matter how you feel that day.
Okay, you agree with that?
I mean, I've been sticking to it so far. I'm still here.
So far, so good. So far.
Why do you say it like a prisoner of war?
Because I am. It is not a game. Marriage is not a game. It is something to be taken seriously. It's a beautiful thing. It could be an ugly thing. It could be a distant thing. It could be a strong thing. It could be a weak thing. It's all about what those two people put into it. And I've been through a lot through these last 20 plus years with my significant other, 13 of them married.
Right.
And all of them have not been sunshine, rainbow seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for some reason, God willing, his power has still made us be able to go ahead and coexist and respect and still be there for each other. And I just hope that we continue to go ahead and learn and grow.
I'm going to ask a question I didn't plan to, but don't you think this whole thing, do you think, okay, I'm going to add something that's going to sound harsh. Okay, so I don't want you to freak out. All right, so I'm going to preface this.
More than calling me a witness when I'm not? More harsh than that?
Okay, listen,
go ahead.
Here's the deal.
Go ahead.
So I know you love your children. So let's set that aside, right? If you didn't have kids, you think this thing would be easier?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be a little bit, but when you take the kids out, it's still going to be left with you and her and dealing with each other. You know what I mean? And if you guys ain't seeing eye to eye or on the same page, there's still going to be difficulties regardless if there's kids there or not, because eventually the kids go away anyway.
Okay. Well,
You know what I mean? You're going
fair
to
enough.
end up in that situation eventually.
I just think they're sucking the life out of us.
Well, remember,
Mine's not even born yet, and it's stuck in the light.
you have a big
So-
big bunch, Mike. You have a bunch, so I could understand.
Yeah, I mean, what is
You know.
it? 6 right now?
Let's not talk about that. That's another
Yeah,
podcast.
that's another.
Okay,
That's
so
another
okay.
Let's not talk those harsh realities.
Have you ever had a situation where you've had to like remind your wife of this passage and say, "Hey, You know what the Bible says.
Not really. I never really fell back. We just talked about it in general. Like, hey, look, listen, you got to go ahead and really take what I say more seriously. Stop taking things as a joke. Things like that.
Okay.
Which is alluding to that, but not.
You haven't been direct.
I haven't been like, hey,
You ever been
Ephesians 5:22.
I don't think I've ever had an instance where I'm like, hey, you need to submit. Like, I don't think I've ever done that. And I don't think she's ever been like, you don't love me enough, or, you're not loving me like the Bible says to. So I think, it's only been 7 years, but we've had a pretty good balance.
Yeah.
With that kind of stuff.
You had to do that at all?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
No, I don't.
Beautiful.
I don't think. I mean, we've had conversations about respect and stuff like that, but I've never. I've never like been like, woman, you must respect me, because I've never felt like really. I don't know. I never like quoted that.
You ever been to a place in the marriage where you thought, like, okay, so let me ask it this way. You ever got to a place where you've talked about it, whatever the issue is that you're facing, you've talked about it, but you're really kind of on two different pages, and somebody has to pull the trigger, there has to be a decision made, and whether this passage gets invoked or not, the concept of role gets invoked, and you're like, hey, listen, here's the deal. I get it. I get the fact that we're not in agreement here, but we're going to have to go like somewhere. Like, we have to do something. We have to make a decision, and so I'm pulling the trigger.
Let me ask
you
you
ever
this.
done that?
Is that the way you handle it? Because that sounded real smooth. I was like, man, I'm taking a book. I'm taking a page
I-
out of that.
No, I had to do
I'm
it twice.
taking a page out of that.
I've had to do it. I've had to do it once or twice.
Let me give you an example. Because let's see if this doesn't trigger some things for you. I've had to do it once. We might be on our second. Okay, so I'm going to give you my second example. Okay, so the second example is we're not on the same page about immunizing the children, which is like a hot button issue.
Oh my
Oh
word.
my
Hey,
god!
Yeah.
I'm right there.
That is
Which one of your kids has
that is a
autism?
hot
Because
button issue. That is
Sorry.
a hot button.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Sorry
like,
for all
there's
the
a
people
whole
listening.
there's a whole immunization thing.
Remember, my
Yeah.
daughter's autistic. I very well know
Yeah, you know what's
the realities. Yeah.
But here's
Yeah.
the deal. Like,
Princess.
you know what I'm saying? No scientific link yet. The whole deal, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't matter who's for and who's against. We'll leave that for for our home.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. But we're on two different pages on this. And at some point, somebody will have to say, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to do this, right? Or we're not going to do this. So that would be an instance where I would say, like, where the meeting of like the rubber meets the road when it comes to the yeah. Does that trigger anything for you? Have you ever had that instance at your home? Have you ever thought about that? Like, has that been something that's been a reality to you?
Oh,
you know what
certainly.
I think that this is one of those things that if things are going the way they should, it doesn't have to be invoked. I think that if the situation calls for a moment where you feel, I'm going to go ahead and whip out this scripture, things ain't going.
Things have gotten off the rails.
They're not going well for you. They're not going well for you. If you're like, I'm going to throw down this God card right now, I'm not getting through. I don't think you're going to get through at that moment anyway, because if that's it's the word. It should be.
It's like using the truth like a hammer.
Yeah. No. Well, no.
because it's more
it
harsh.
should be.
It's more blunt. No, I'm saying that's the way people can.
But what I'm saying
interpret
is,
it.
what I'm saying is that if it has to be, it's one of those things where if it has to be invoked, you're probably in a bad place.
True.
If it doesn't have to be invoked, everyone understands.
Yeah, but couldn't you
what
have
it
a
should be.
legitimate disagreement about something?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're in a bad place.
No. But if this has to get pulled out,
okay. If
That's
you
what I'm
have to
saying.
say the
yeah.
actual passage.
Hey, let me quote.
Yeah. We're in trouble.
You're probably in a bad place.
We're in trouble. Okay.
You're deep in.
You're pulling out the.
No,
thing.
Yeah.
deep.
So I told you I've had two in 7 years. Where I've had one actually in 7 years. I anticipate there might be two. Okay, but I've had one in 7 years, and I said it exactly that way. I said, look, I hate doing this. I don't like this. I don't want to do this, but we have talked about this until we're blue in the face. This is what we're doing, right? And I'm miserable doing it. But because I want everybody to get along.
How
I
long?
don't want like.
How long did the revocations?
How long did that take place?
No,
I'd say-
after the
of the
moment.
ramifications of that statement.
Yes.
No, my wife is a very righteous person. So at the end of the day, she does the right thing. And I don't mean that the right thing is being obedient to me. I'm saying she does the right thing before God. Like she's a moral person. She's a righteous person. She's a godly person. She just is. Do you know what I'm saying? Where I kind of look at, and she's very, I say all the time, like in premarital and counseling with couples, I say, guys are supposed to be spiritual leaders. Women are supposed to be spiritual challenges. She's definitely a challenge. She's constantly like going, really? DeLong, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, buddy, come on, help me out here.
It sounds like my marriage.
Yeah, and so she invokes a sense of accountability from a loving place that is very powerful, right? But in that particular situation, I go, okay, good grief, here we go, and I had to make a final call. And the truth is, she got it. She was like, okay, well, moving on, next subject.
You want. I mean, yeah, you don't.
It's
The goal isn't to have a wife that's just a doormat. I mean, you want that challenge that kind of keeps you, keeps you accountable, keeps you sharp, that's good. Challenge for the sake of contradiction, that's different, But no, you wanted a woman who you're not always going to get your way. Hey, all right, let's discuss it. There's a counterpoint. Let's discuss it. It shouldn't be bulldoze the wife every time. I mean, that's not. It shouldn't go that way. Neither spouse should be bulldozed all the time.
Exactly.
Neither one should be bulldozed at all. But one person isn't going to be right all the time.
Why do you think God, or in this particular passage, why do you think God? Okay, so let's look at the guys real quick. So the guys is this. Next, pull that other slide up, Mike, will you please? All right, so just that. This is God's command to the guys in marriage. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So it's wives submit, husbands love. Why do you think that is?
And give himself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But why do you think he says to women, it's respect, and to guys, that's love?
I think women
Because
are
that's
how we're
naturally
wired.
Because to
yeah, I
men
think
what's
women are
important.
naturally nurturing and loving, and men were very easy to be disconnected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
then why would they need? They're naturally disrespectful.
no, but
I'm kidding.
I think as men, so I was thinking throughout this.
Okay.
So you asked me the question. So there have been times that I have felt disrespected, right? But then when I really take my emotions out of it and take my feelings out of it,
Okay.
I know my wife's heart. So her intent wasn't to intentionally like, oh, I'm going to disobey you purposely and whatever. Like I just felt like that at the moment because of my emotions.
Okay.
Like when I really stand back away from it, it wasn't my intent. I think God says it because as men, that's big to us to be respected.
Yeah.
You
Why
know,
is it so big to us?
I don't know, but there's a book about it. Love and Respect.
No, I know it's best-selling Christian book. One of the best-selling Christian books of all time is
Right.
Love and Respect.
It is
Why
love
is
and
it such a big deal to us to be respected?
Pride?
Is that what
No.
it is? So
I don't know.
God goes, look, these guys are prideful.
No, but like, look,
I don't.
it's just I think it's a lot. Like we're as men, we're the head of the household, and we're supposed to like hold our feelings in check all the time and be strong and be all this stuff. And then when something happens that hurt us, it's like, or that bothers us, that we feel undermined. It's like
Think about it like this: we got the whole world against us out there.
Okay.
That the things are stacked up against us.
Okay.
You want to be in a place that at least that, hey, I have unequivocal support. I have communication. I have encouragement. I have that's coming from the right place of love that gives you more motivation and strength to go out here to go into battle because it's a lot. So we want to go ahead and at least be valued in our homes if we're not being valued anywhere else. And if at home we're even feeling slighted or being manipulated or people are playing mind games, women, they're very good at that. They know how to go ahead and subtle and very, very spy-like.
I tell you what,
Spy-like. Spy-like.
a man.
They're good. The innuendos,
James
the tones,
Bond.
the little suggestions, the little things here and there. Oh, what about this? We already talked about that, but they'll say it again to you, and they'll say it again to you. And then next thing you know, you're like doing it, and you're like, wait, what just happened? What?
I know this sorcery he speaks of.
Look, along that line, I think that a man who's like respected and feels supported, and like his wife has his back, and builds him up. That man walks out the door and feels like he can conquer the world. He's out there on a mission. He's going to give himself up for his wife and his family. Okay. That guy is going to be crucified for his family if need be. Right. That's I think, I don't know what it is, but it definitely puts something in us that is energizing, motivating.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What if there's a little bit more to that? Like when he's saying give yourself up, like what if it's just that? Like as men, we tend to want to win everything, including arguments. So what if by saying that is like if you winning an argument comes at the expense of your wife's heart, like her being hurt, like is that even worth it to even have that argument or to like have to prove that point?
No, I think it's a good point. I think that's
pretty
a legit
universal.
point. If it's an argument. Right.
If it's a discussion, because sometimes I tend to not try to get into petty things or stuff like that. Like I try to weigh it. Like is ultimately like what is this really going to solve? Like by me winning this
in the spectrum,
in the big spectrum of things, is this going to make such a big difference in the life of our children and us that this is worth?
But how do you know when it's that kind of situation? When it's something you should be like, okay, this is a minor. Let's treat it like a minor. Let's not major in minor.
I think I think when it's something that's going to affect the children, affect the household, affect the overall, goals of the family in the long run. Like for us, we're big on like, hey, whatever this may be is chaotic, but in the midst of the chaos, we want peace and for everybody to feel safe and respected, and that's our ultimate goal always. So anytime something comes up, I'm like, okay, so I might not be happy with this right now, like this day or two that are coming up, but in the long run, is this like I don't look at it as is it good or bad. It's like in the long run, is this gonna make a big difference that this goal won't be achieved?
Right.
Yeah,
because I think so. Think about it. I think husbands, if we do fit the traditional roles and we're doing the whole leadership thing in the home, right? Then things like the mission, vision, direction, health of the spiritual health, emotional health of the family, that comes under that headship kind of like, hey, we should be mindful of this. We should be casting vision and plan and direction in these areas, right? And so if it's something that I feel like touches those, I'm willing to be like, hey, I'm gonna put my foot down on something, right? For whether it's the kids or the wife, it very rarely happens, but because I think that falls under that the leadership. I'm not willing just to go, well, to keep from having an argument, I'm going to advocate on these important responsibilities too. Does that make sense?
No, I agree 100%. You also have to think like this is very different times, right? And when it comes to certain things, like, if we're being honest, historically, men have taken advantage of the whole, hey, women obey your husbands.
No.
So like before, the wife would stay home. The husband would come home from work, and it's like, it's a different dynamic. Now, you both come home from work, and like husbands are like, you need to obey me. I'm going to sit down and watch TV, and you're going to do everything else. And they check out.
Yeah, that's not cool.
You know what I mean? So I think it's that's like when God first made the garden, right? He gave Adam responsibility first. Yeah. So Adam was there first, and he gave him responsibilities. Yeah. So that's our responsibility to tend our garden. Our wife is part of our garden, our kids. And, to come home and just sit down and play video games or like not tend to your wife or your kids and then expect to be respected. It's unrealistic.
No, it isn't.
And I think that's where it falls. I agree with Glenn when he said like your wife will respect you if she sees that you're putting into it the same that she is.
When you hear guys sit around and talk about this, married guys sit around and talk about this stuff, Grayson, do you get worried?
Spanish chicken
Well,
fixes everything.
well, dating is really hard because your girlfriend doesn't have to submit to you and stuff like that. So it's interesting to hear these things because, sure, my girlfriend and I have had disagreements, but if what I say doesn't have to be final, and I can't pull that card if I have to. So it's cool just to hear what you guys have to say, and it's weird thinking that hopefully this is my wife, but it's weird that she'd have to change her mindset to submitting to me in like an eternal commitment like that, it's weird.
You know, I don't think that's something for when the flow is going good. I think this is more a reminder and a guide for those who don't have that dynamic and are looking to where to get it.
That's what I'm saying. If
Because
you're at a point where you got to whip this out, then
if you're at a point, Grayson,
I
with your
disagree.
relationship that is flowing back and forth.
you disagree?
100%.
I disagree too because
100% disagree. And I'm telling you why. Because our job is to love our wives. That's not like for good times and bad, or like if things are going bad, then you got to do it, or things are going good, you should be doing. It's all the time. That's all the time, and there should be respect there all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, now if you have to pull this out and beat somebody with it, like you're supposed to be doing this because the Bible says, yes, I agree with George, but I don't agree that this is like, hey, this only needs to be brought up in the most bad times.
Yeah, I
You know what I'm
agree.
saying? It's something she's working on respect. I'm working on sacrificial love. We got to do that.
All the time.
Right? And it's all the time.
Yeah, it's all the time.
And the second you start telling yourself you can coast on any of this, I think you're in trouble. That's
Absolutely.
No.
I agree.
No,
Absolutely.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, let me look at check this out. So let's ask this. Who do you think has the tougher job?
I think it's equally tough.
You think it's equally tough? I don't think so. I think we got the tougher job.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. At the end of the day,
Depends on the situation, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. At
Men
the end of the
have the tougher
day,
job.
respect. Now, granted, we're not the one with. Obviously, there's God notices something here. We're the one with love problems. They're the one with respect issues, right? Okay, I get it.
But we have to do both.
But
God's got a sense of humor. Doesn't
yeah, I know. I think he does. But this whole idea of like, hey, love her as Christ loved the church. So you can get up every day and go, I am planning my day to give myself away completely to your needs over mine.
And I think that's what they meant by give himself.
Yeah.
You know, prioritize her
I
over
think
you.
that's a huge deal. I
But
think
what
we
if
don't talk
what,
about it enough? I don't
what
think
if
we
the
think about
it
need
enough.
is winning that argument?
That is tough.
Why? But you and these arguments. What is going on in your house?
There is no argument.
Nothing but arguments. All conversations are
But you know what I'm
arguments.
saying? Like
It's
the idea
human.
of giving yourself away to that level.
it's easy for your wife to submit to you when you're living to just constantly please her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be. Think about it. Her role is going to be pretty easy if you're doing your role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes in.
I think her role is
Which goes-
extremely hard when you're not. Right. It's hard to be
Right.
submitted to somebody who's being a jerk.
That's what I'm talking about. There's
Yeah.
a duality. That's how come he says it right after each other. It isn't something. It's something that when it's both being done at the same time, is something beautiful. But we both got to work on just our part of it and not worry about the other part.
Yeah,
because it'll just end up happening.
The one with the more difficult job is the one who the other spouse isn't doing their thing. So,
Right.
like, the wife's going to have a difficult job obeying if the husband's not stepping up and loving her the way he should be loving her,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
And vice versa.
The husband's
Yeah.
going to have
That's true.
a
Yeah.
very
Okay, I agree.
difficult time.
Duality,
And there's
bro.
marriages
Nailed it.
with both of those issues on both sides.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So here's the deal. I got the girls together yesterday or the day before and asked them all these same questions. Whole panel of ladies. Asked them all these same questions about these same verses. It was great. But I also asked this. I'd like you to weigh in on this.
Oh,
Great.
Wives, obey your husbands as you obey the Lord. Okay. How does that apply to the sexual aspect of the marriage?
Well, I just remember a verse that I believe Saul said, that he says that wives and husbands can't deny each other when it came to affections, like, because the body in essence does not belong to them. Like, I'm my wife's body and she's my body, so we cannot deprive each other. That's she tells you what to wear,
What?
Your wife,
Wait a minute.
she
what?
gives you some of these outfits. No, I'm just saying, like, she might give you some ideas. I'm not saying she does.
Not
It's
ideas.
hypothetical, Mike. Don't get offended,
I'm
bro.
trying to follow.
It's not
I'm
No,
trying to see where
everybody
this is
else is
going.
following.
I thought I was doing fine.
No, I thought it was like you.
Like,
No, no.
wearing that?
no, but you know what I mean? Like, things like that. Hey, look,
That has happened a number of
Mike,
times.
Yeah.
Mike,
Isn't that crazy
you
though? Like,
kept your
you dressed
beard
well enough
because
to
your
get
wife
her,
says she
and now
likes
you
it.
can't.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
You're
I see what you're saying.
so even in the bedroom concept, hey, look, there's needs that need to get taken care of, and he knows how important a dynamic that physical connection is in the marriage realm. You know, he's the one who created it. It isn't like it's a secret to him.
Sexual
So
healing.
to go ahead and take that part away and try to still keep the dynamic and the communication and the love going, it's going to be tested. It's going to be strained.
Yeah.
And he knows that.
Yeah, but why doesn't he tell them that?
Who's them?
The ladies.
But he does.
Okay, you think so?
Tell them
Because it says both. He says men's
Yeah,
do
but
not
wait,
deny
wait,
your
why
wives,
tell them what?
wives
He
do
didn't
not
have to
deny
tell
your-
us anything, brother.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have
Yeah,
to tell us
yeah,
anything.
that's true.
Oh yeah.
We were
True.
on board.
Yeah, we're never denying. We're always giving. The all giving. We're never denying.
We were on board from the very
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
What,
definitely.
what is the deal? Why is
They get turned off when we're not loving them right. That's what it is.
you think?
When we're not loving them right, they're turned off. They're like,
You don't agree?
You know, I don't. I don't.
yeah?
I don't.
Juan's like, nope.
You know, I think there's another aspect
No,
also when like for example when children come into the picture,
Okay.
then they are.
Sidetrack.
I think it's not outlandish to believe that a woman's nurturing qualities, she's going to tend to the children in a way, where it could take her out of that wifely role, because she's exhausted.
Are you ready for that?
You know,
Wait,
No.
One,
I think we're just wired differently. Like we went to a marriage counseling thing, and that they had in Orlando with like a couple of couples from the church, and one of the things that they brought up was that you know what we're looking at our woman and we're like, okay, I can't wait tonight. You know, this is it. I'm gonna wait for her to get to bed. And in the meantime, she's like, I gotta pick up the kids and I gotta do this tomorrow. She's thinking about a million things that it's not like us. Like we're thinking about, and she's like thinking they're thinking about something completely different.
I know.
You know? So for us, it's like we don't need a switch. We're like, sure. And then we're like, how you doing? Like, and we expect that switch to go off right away. Oh, coronavirus.
Anthony doesn't want you to touch him while you're talking. About that.
Yeah.
It's very awkward.
I miss my wife.
Forever
I
unclean.
miss her a lot.
But
So I think I think it's that. Like we just expect them to be like on board no matter what. Like at the moment, you know.
so that's unfair, is what you're saying.
I think it's unrealistic.
Unrealistic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's unrealistic.
and then another thing.
You agree
too
with
is-
that? You think it's unrealistic?
No, I don't. Think.
I don't.
I think.
He's like, not in my
I think
house.
what Juan's saying is true, but if we was
But it
to
doesn't
act on
count.
that, if we was to act on that emotion, see, because what you said was thinking. We're thinking this, and they don't know what's going on. We're not even giving a preemptive, like a little type
you
of.
come out with never mind.
coming out.
Whoa,
that person.
whoa.
Whoa.
But I'm just saying, if you give them, a little stroke of the back here.
Why is everybody touching me?
You're just that
I'm glad
touchable
I'm
type
over
of
here.
guy.
I know I'm lovable, but
Yeah,
man,
you
is
are.
it the beard? It's the beard.
Do you think the marriage that you grew up observing from your parents plays a key role in this whole thing?
My dad was awful. I'm sorry. The little time that I saw the man, he was like, I was like,
But
my mom threw an avocado seed at him one time. She was like, I can stand you.
But
An
it could play a key
avocado
role-
seed?
Avocado seed.
It could play
Gosh,
a
that's
key
very
role in
Hispanic.
you not wanting to do what
Yeah.
he did.
Okay. Yes, I agree. I wanted to be
For
completely
positive or
opposite.
negative, it
I wanted to
could
be
play a
completely
key role.
opposite than what he was with my kids and my spouse. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what do you think, Grayson? I mean, we know you're not in yet, but do you think that the marriage that you have gotten to observe in your parents is going to be a key factor in your marriage?
It's already been a huge factor in my dating
How so?
relationship. Every single way I treat my girlfriend is all taught from my dad.
Okay. And so do you look at it with
That's the
like
same
you
for
look
me.
at it and say, hey, they've got a good relationship, they've got a good thing
Yeah.
going. Like I like what I see here. I'm trying to emulate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Juan was the opposite. I don't know if you picked that up.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things. So, let me ask you guys this: like, sometimes we look at marriage like as if the goal is longevity. Like, I've been married,
Like just to get through.
just to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, what does that look like if our kids are watching, and that's what really, they're seeing what their marriages are going to be like.
Right.
Like to see yourself like in a marriage where you're just like I don't want to say loveless, but like there's nothing there. You're just like roommates.
Yeah.
Or like just companionship, like just not even companionship, like you're just there.
Just
You come
let's just
from
get
work,
through.
do your stuff, and you just get through. You go through the motions. Well, what are
know-
we showing our kids?
You
That's
know
a really
what I've
good
heard?
point.
And I heard this from Fluffy. It's crazy. Fluffy.
Okay.
said
Wait a
this,
minute.
right?
Who's that?
Who's Fluffy?
Fluffy
Gabriel
is
Iglesias?
Fluffy is a comedian that I took my kid to see for his birthday, and he just recently got divorced. So he was talking about divorce and everything, and he was like, why do people just don't get divorced and they just stay together all these years? And he said there's a couple of reasons that he came up to, and I was like, He said, number one, he said there's a lot of financial reasons that people stay together due to the things they accumulated. They're thinking about splitting up, this and that, how they're going to do this or that. I was like, could be true. Second one, he says, there's something called I'd rather know the devil I know. Something in Spanish that says, hey, I already know this guy. Yeah, he's a piece of crap, but I know when he takes a fart, I got to take 17 feet away from him. I know on Tuesdays he likes his fish fried, this and that. Like, you already know the ins and outs of the good and
the
bad.
The devil you
him.
know is better than the devil you know.
So they're like, to go into somebody else, I already put all this time. So I was like,
That's called happily unhappy.
Yeah. And what was the third? He came up with three. There was three reasons why he came in. It was pretty. I was like, it could be. He could have some merit to some of those, you know.
The goal should.
I really thought that story was going to end differently. I thought you had a big punchline at the end.
Something sweet.
Because it's a comedian. I was like,
No, I just thought it was funny that the comedian was giving
life
advice.
This life
Okay.
advice.
Giving-
Or
okay.
It's a realistic
that was,
comedian.
That was like,
He
I was
just-
like, whoa.
he just gives real life advice.
this guy,
it's funny because it's true.
Not real life advice. Oh, man.
This is funny because it's true.
No, I don't think the goal should be longevity and that's it. There should be quality over
quantity.
Yeah, longevity. I mean, what's the point if you cross the finish line and everything was just like, you know?
Yeah.
The
But-
kids leave and then that's
But
Okay.
there will be
Hold up.
times where the quantity is not up to snuff. And then that's when you say, this is a lifetime commitment. All right? It's not about just sticking it out for the sake of saying, hey, we made it the lifetime. But there will be times where that's the one that you're going to go, all right now, rough patch. So
You either dig
this is a
in.
lifetime
Yeah.
commitment. This isn't something that I quit when things get rough. So that's the point where you do say, all right, the goal here is a lifetime commitment, not things got rough and I'm out and,
Here
on to
I
the
am.
next.
I mean that now. UV tells me all the time, you want out? Die. I'm like, okay.
Longevity, though, is kind of the focus around like people my age, though, because I mean, people my age, everyone's parents are divorced. So like, it is cool to hear you guys say that longevity should not be like the number one thing you're looking for, because it is easy to kind of look for that since a lot of people aren't getting that anymore. Luckily, my parents are still married, but it's like all my friends, their parents aren't. So it's cool to hear that from you guys that shouldn't be the exact focus, because that kind of is for friends.
That
and
comes natural.
people I know.
Like that longevity comes naturally if you build.
You think
You
the
know.
natural focus though is? Let's go back.
No,
to
it's
that.
hard work.
No, but you, Grayson, you think you think the focus on many young people getting married is, can they make it?
Well,
I'm asking legitimate. I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I'm just saying, do you? And it sounds like what you're saying is their focus is longevity because they've seen their parents fail. If they want to succeed, is that what you're saying?
well, the focus of most is kind of the opposite. It's like we won't get married because of fear of longevity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but people who are committed, it's kind of like, okay, we'll just date forever until we know we'll make it forever. So it's like we'll live together, and then we'll get married if we think it'll last forever. I
Yeah,
guess. It's
I
kinda
took a
like,
page out of that book.
I think
We call that the Glenn.
but doesn't that go to that whole FOMO, fear of missing out? Like, I mean, it's almost like leaving the option open. It's like make the commitment and stick to it. I mean, if you're doing it right, then you
Right.
make the commitment.
But-
It's not like, oh, I'm gonna just long term. Let's see how this goes.
Right.
At what point do you stop saying, let's see how it goes, and you say, all right,
That's
we
like
commit.
the trend right now, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but I'm saying,
And
Ain't
I
that
don't
the
think
culture, though, right now, though?
culturally, I don't think a lot of young people are marriage minded, and
But
nor do they have what it takes to actually carry a successful
But-
marriage.
but that's
because everything
exactly-
is so like microwave.
That's
and self,
exactly what
you
I'm
know,
trying to say.
I'm looking out for myself.
The
and what I
cultural
need, what I
mindset.
want.
The cultural
Everybody's-
mindset right now
everybody's on a
is
happiness
not
quest.
on that page, on that time, and everybody's self-gratifying immediately. So they're like, why should I try to go ahead and do something where I have to commit and go long-term when I could do something and instantly go on this app and get exactly what I want in the next 30 minutes to an hour? It's tough to go ahead and weigh that out. In this day and age, we grew up a little bit in a different age than Grayson is. That's to come out even feel for him in a dating scene. The dating culture for Grayson is so much different than what we went through because he has and they have so much access and DM this and Instagram that and text. It's just
okay, Boomer, take it easy.
No, but I think he's not something. I think generational. It has a lot to do with it. So like we pretty much grew up in a.
You're the same age as me. What are you talking about, bro? I'm just thinking about it right now. Like the same age as me.
A lot of us
older. By the way,
a lot of us grew up in a season where our parents were like really tough on us. So a lot of us just wanted to get out. So we figured that the next step was like have a kid, get married, start your life early. So we started our lives when we were like our family were like really early for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. You know, you guys grew up with us wanting to give kids everything that we didn't have, right? But because of that, because we moved into that commitment so quickly when we weren't ready, you know, that's why you see a lot of divorces. I think, you know, like I think that's what the good thing about waiting till you're fully mature. And that's not at 21 or 22. Like it's in your late 20s when you've lived out your seasons.
My first marriage started when I was 30.
How old are you? 43. You're like a vampire.
I'm 43. Thank you so much.
Take it easy, Highlander.
Right?
Well,
there can only be one.
I take everything back. Never mind. I think everything. I'm a big believer, like especially for men.
Yeah, but this guy,
he still watches Star Wars.
Yeah, come on.
Right.
He's still painting figurines.
What's wrong with that?
This guy was a late bloomer. All right?
My word.
I think
I'm not painting figurines, but I do watch Star Wars on a regular basis.
I guarantee you that the things that you want now and the things that you find appealing now at this age, by the time that you get to be 27 or 28, they're going to look very different to you. And
I think it can, but it does require some maturity, and I think I see in Grayson a level of maturity that I would say probably a lot of young guys his age.
What's the piece of advice?
definitely.
You got 5 married guys here. What's the piece of advice you'd give young Grayson pre-marriage?
Wait.
Really communicate.
You sound so depressing.
You know what I was saying, Grayson? Really communicate what you guys like. Really want from life and what you expect from each other, because very rarely do we
shared expectations.
Because that isn't something that's happened too much.
Shared stated expectations.
You do it early.
Okay. Young Padawan father here, whatever.
Excuse me. Sorry, Corona. You're all exposed. I would say don't go to bed angry at each other, and that's one of the hardest things to do.
Oh wow!
I know that
it's super cliche, but
it is.
There's a truth
but
to
it's some of the best advice I've ever been given. My father gave it to me, and my parents would stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning because they wanted to make sure.
I usually just make her sleep on the couch.
You make her do that?
There's no way.
You're wrong,
but
bro.
honestly,
You're wrong. That is wrong.
It's
The Lord said obey me. Lord said obey me.
We've had moments where we have, definitely gone to sleep on it, and we're still woke up and we're pissed at each other still, and it's miserable. So I would say, try to get over that as quick as you can.
Work it out.
Work it
long
out.
Nights, long nights.
Talk it out.
What do you got there? What do you got there? Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. I would definitely marry someone who's like your friend. I know it sounds cliche, but like anytime that we have a disagreement, like it's easy for us to come back to who we are because we're friends. And even when I don't like her, I love her. I could look at her and be like, I can't stand you, and I'm like, I really love you. You really are like amazing in every way.
What do you got?
Don't stop working. Don't slack. Everything
it's like a song.
Everything that's easy now is not going to be easy when real life starts rushing through that door and bills and responsibility, like further responsibilities.
Corona.
Make it a point to not slack on all these things that come so easy now, that put a smile on her face now. Don't be intentional about your effort.
Yeah, I would say I'd say the one thing that's very unique about my marriage is that we laid a really great foundation. We spent a lot of my wife did this. It was very sweet of her to do this, but our relationship began over text message, and so much of our relationship was worked out through words, like actual written words, which I know sounds like not
boomerish.
It doesn't seem like that big a deal, but it was a huge deal for us. And so what she did was when we got married, she went back and printed all of the text messages for about a year period, right? Literally. And it was like, I mean, it's a binder. It's like this big, you know what I'm saying? Of just, tech.
Wow.
So it's our whole, it's how our relationship was formed.
That's kind of cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it is.
But there was something about the ability to build that relationship through talking and thinking and exposing worldview and laughing and all of that stuff. We learned that and how to found that relationship. The foundation was really, really strong. You know what I'm saying? So we've had to fall back on that a couple of times. But I mean, there's something so bedrock to what was built there that even in the roughest of times over the last 7 years, there's never been a moment where I had any doubt. It's always been like, no.
Yeah.
This is a God thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
And it took some time to find that.
yeah, I don't think you can rush that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can rush that. I don't think that you can manufacture that. I think it just has to. It has to happen. You know what I'm saying? So
Imagine today and age where we're pretty much looking at 4 weeks without school or nothing, no work for some people.
Yeah.
Imagine being 4 weeks with somebody you can't stand. There you go. That's my advice.
Sure that the next time around we have a pandemic, you're with somebody that you can be around.
You're gonna be around.
Yeah, make sure you can tolerate her.
so good. Okay,
She can
so
tolerate you.
I guess the coronavirus for another podcast yet again.
yeah,
No, we already
we'll
handled
save that. We'll come back to it. But so the most important verse in the Bible: wives, obey your husbands. There it is.
Bam.
Not anything about the gospel or anything. This is the most important. Is that?
This is the one.
No.
For tonight.
For tonight, yes. For this exercise.
Let's leave it at that. It's a good one. It is a good one. All right, we love you. We mean it. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Peace.
God bless. See you guys.